in the interview process too. They talk to someone over video, or they do like an assessment hacker rank course. We're seeing more
Mhm.
people use AI to kind of almost like cheat the process too. So I'd say,
Mm.
which is kind of interesting too. So people take the assessment, they do very well, and again, they come on, they do the interview rounds, the final round, and they don't do as well.
Welcome to the All in Recruitment podcast by Manatal, where we explore best practices, learnings, and trends with leaders in the recruitment space. If you like our content, please subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify to stay tuned for our weekly episodes. I'm your host, Lydia. This week, we have Jonathan Kidder of Amazon. Thanks for joining us again. Really nice to see you again, John.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, what's been on your priority list the past year, Jonathan? I mean, we've seen an exponential shift in technical recruitment. I can imagine what you have to say. So, how has this influenced your approach from the last time you spoke?
Oh, so much has changed too. It's just so vastly different since the last time we spoke last year too. So much has changed within AI, generative AI, and creating prompts to using tools to source and engage candidates. There's just so much changing, and it's just a crazy time to be in recruiting too.
Right. And we'll talk about all that later. But right now, what are some areas that you're prioritizing for technical recruitment?
So I would say for us, especially using like AI to, in the process, interweaving that from the beginning too. So there's many new companies coming out with like voice generated AI tools to utilizing sourcing agents to automating engagement to all the backend stuff that we're doing, onboarding to prep emails to just like the whole process. People and recruiters are just like realizing that they can interweave AI into the entire process too. So that's something that's kind of interesting too. So that's for kind of the recruiting side of what we're doing and kind of building out. And I would say externally, it's interesting too, because a lot of candidates are now using AI too in some good ways and then also some bad ways too, right? Many candidates are now utilizing AI to write resumes too. So I'm experiencing that where I'm seeing just exceptional resumes. And then when I talk to the candidate, they're not as good as kind of what they say from their resume too. So there's a lot of things that are kind of changing. And all in all, I definitely feel like recruiting and recruiters in general have a very bright future, and we're still needed to be in the process just because so much has changed in relation just to tech recruiting in general.
Jonathan, you are senior technical recruiter 3 for level speed.
Yeah,
is that right?
It's an L6. A senior technical recruiter at Amazon. I've been there for about 6.5 years and specialize in more technical positions. So like software engineers, product managers, PMTs, TPMs, lots of lingo that we throw around at Amazon too. But for us, we're definitely very busy too. And we have a lot of positions to kind of focus on and source on too.
Right. There's been a LinkedIn report from this year that says by 2030, 70% of the skills used in most jobs will change with AI emerging as a catalyst. I mean, this comes as no surprise, right? But how has this affected the way you evaluate a candidate's potential versus their current technical capabilities?
Right. Well said. I would say learning how to use prompts. So on both sides. So learning how to utilize AI, it will impact every single industry too. So even my wife, she's a therapist, she's interweaving AI into her process now too. So I'd say it will impact, 70% of like what we do on our day-to-day basis too. So I'd say on the skills side, I'm seeing it for like engineering roles where they are saying, hey, I'm a prompt engineer. I'm utilizing AI. I'm embedding this into the process. And then also hiring managers are now more open to looking at that, requesting that sort of experience. So I would say certainly things will continuously change in the tech field, but I would say in general, I wouldn't be surprised if you go 3, 4 years down the road, and things have changed dramatically too. And just the
Yeah.
types of roles too. I've been seeing kind of
Mm.
prompt engineer AI voice roles coming through, and what managers are wanting to. It's changing too, which I would say it's a great, exciting time to be kind of on the tech side and such.
So you talked about candidates using AI to generate their resumes, and you're finding a pattern here. If I got you correct, if I got you right. So if in order to overcome this challenge, it obviously takes time. You're seeing excellent resumes, but they don't quite match the person that you're talking to, right? So how do you navigate this?
There's ways to put it into AI systems where you could see, okay, how was this AI generated too, and you can kind of start to kind of tell too. You can kind of see the summaries of kind of someone's resume or LinkedIn profile. You kind of like, okay, this seems very a lot of fluff per se, but
Mhm.
I would say it's getting very difficult to at the same time. Even for me, I get tripped up all the time where I'm like, this person has the perfect resume. And then you get them to talk to your team or the hiring manager directly, and they just do not do well too. They don't have the
Mm.
necessary skill sets. So I would say on the front end for recruiters, they could have everything listed on the key terms and everything, like the titles and everything listed correctly on their resume, but then once you kind of screen them or kind of talk to them, they just don't hit the bar to per se on kind of what you're looking for too. So I would say in general, that's going to
Mm.
be a continuous issue for recruiters too. So on the flip side, for recruiters in general, sourcers, I would say that's a hugely positive thing because you can't fully automate our job too, and you can't just base it off the keywords on someone's resume. When people apply, I know my system, it skill ranks them like, hey, here's the top people to, and it's
Mm.
all based on the terms and the keywords on their resume. But once you talk to someone on the phone, or even, you can still utilize AI too in that process. But once you talk to them, they just don't have the right skill sets that what you're looking for too. So,
Mm.
and then also in the interview process too, they talk to someone over video, or they do like an assessment hacker rank course. We're seeing more
Okay.
people use AI to kind of almost like cheat the process too. So I'd say,
Mm.
which is kind of interesting too. So people take the assessment, they do very well, and again, they come on, they do the interview rounds, the final round, and they don't do as well. So that's going to be a huge challenge for recruiting in general in the future too.
Yeah, so what might be some ways to balance sometimes competing priorities between hiring managers versus an organization's hiring goals?
Yeah, I would say first off, it's all about having intake calls with the hiring manager to assess what they're looking for in the role that they're filling. And then also the greater org, talking to the greater team. Communication is going to be very important and impactful too. I know hiring managers get so busy in their day to
Mm.
day and they don't have time. So I would say right from the beginning as a recruiter, you need to set the tone, set expectations right up front with that intake call too. So you could use AI to generate a list of questions and just to kind of talk through the roles. But then at the same time, at your company's SLAs or the internal process, and kind of sticking to that same standardized process too. So really
Mm.
doing kind of pushback if you think your hiring manager is maybe their bar or just their bar is too high, as we say, for
Mm.
what they're looking for, and setting realistic expectations. But I would say in general, data, data, data. Data is your best
Mm.
friend as a recruiter. You don't think about that. It took me, I've been in recruiting for 15 years now. It took me at least 5 years in to realize that, oh my gosh, it's all
Right.
about the data too. It's all about the numbers, the funnel metrics.
And it's all about
Yeah,
that
all that.
storytelling behind that numbers.
Right. Being
Mm.
visual and being
Mm.
strategic and taking that, putting into like a report or such, because when they come back to you and the org maybe says like, hey, why haven't you filled this position in 90 days or whatever? Oh, here's everyone we contacted, here's everyone that applied, here's all the phone
Mm.
screens, here's all the rejections, here's the people that declined based on comp or location or all those different things that are just out of the recruiter's kind of control per se. So it's on the back end. It's really good to track your entire process too. And I'm kind of old school too. I use Excel and And we have a thing called Quip too at Amazon that I just kind of track everyone in my process. So upfront, you can be very transparent with your hiring team and be like, here's everyone I've contacted and here's what we're facing too. I would say for us, the US market is very not so good.
Mhm.
With
In what ways?
I would say with tariffs and just the economy,
Right.
there's a lot of concerns. Tech did kind of a crash, I would say, post-COVID years, and most tech companies have not recovered since that kind of ordeal too. So it's just a lot of uncertainties, right, of just the future,
Mm.
and now with AI too, and everything else happening, there's just a lot of changes happening at the same time. So, yeah.
But in terms of hiring for Amazon, I mean, that's a big name, and you're going to have so many applicants coming in anyway, right? So what might be a challenge around that, or what's a good problem to have there?
Oh, that's a good question too. For us at Amazon, we're looking for very niche talent. And I would
Mm.
say in general, with the market the way it is, niche talent, people that have 5, 10+ years of experience, usually they're employed, fully, employed, and they're not really necessarily looking to. So throw in the economy and the uncertainty with that. Many people would rather just write it out. I've heard that from candidates. They just want to write out this year or just kind of see what happens with
Mm.
the stock price and everything that's impacting kind of our kind of US economy too. And that might be different in other countries too, but I would say there's just like a general consensus of just wait and see
Mhm.
what happens too. And I'm hoping for a positive outcome to give it maybe 2, 3 years and we go back to kind of like a tech boom.
Mm.
But I would say it's like a wave, and especially in tech. It goes up and then it goes down and then up again. So every couple of years, it's just kind of like
Mm.
a tidal wave.
So let's go back to the talent acquisition or the recruitment process itself. I understand that you have also implemented a Gen AI training sessions. Is that correct? So you
Yeah.
care to elaborate on this?
Yeah, you got it. I would say for both ends. So first, I would say just general awareness for hiring managers to like, hey, are you aware of these tools? And we're very aware of that too. So candidates are using AI tools to go through our screening process. We could say all the right things and still bring people through. And then at the end, they're still kind of using these tools, and which is unfortunate to kind of hear that too. So just being very transparent upfront with that. There's lots of unknowns
Mm.
of like, we just don't know. There's many different platforms where an engineer can go on and have two screens and AI could respond back as they talk over the interview style questions too. So we're just trying to be
Mm.
very transparent with that. So yeah, I would say that's a concern kind of on the, HM side per se, but for like recruiters, yeah, we're utilizing generative AI to just make our process more efficient, better. So that means like using AI to better communicate, engage candidates on
Mhm.
LinkedIn or over email. LinkedIn has done a lot of the recent changes too. So now when you message someone, you can create a prompt and have tailor kind of a really nice message too. I would say it's kind of okay. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's very off too to kind of what
Mm.
you're kind of trying to get at. But even with that, with engagement to outreach, with AI, I think candidates are going to be kind of more come like immune to it, where they're just like, okay, this is just a generated spam. It sounds good to
Mm.
be true. So I still do like to do outreach where it's very simple, direct. Sometimes I even misspell words in my
Mm.
messaging on purpose in emails.
On
They're like,
purpose?
on purpose. They're like, he's a human,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
Those rare
I'm like,
moments when a typo makes sense.
oh yeah,
It's a
like,
good
oh,
thing.
it's a good thing. So even like doing that up front and showing,
Mm.
okay, I'm a human, because even I get messages from here's an opening, they just copy paste from something from my profile and they send me a message and like this is AI generated too. So it's good and bad, right? It will help simplify our process, and really for recruiters, I feel like it's going to take away all the mundane things that we're doing every single day. And then we can kind of focus more on still getting on the phone and talking to people because at the end of the day, we're still human and we still value that. And recruiting or just getting a job in general, I would say, is like the most important thing of your life. It's who you marry or relationships to where you live, your family, and then job satisfaction. I mean, it's like your top 3-4 things. So it's a huge thing to kind of think about where you want to work to. At the same time, I've heard candidates like, hey, I went through the whole process and I didn't talk to anyone, from the beginning, and I hated it. So we're getting that feedback from other companies where, hey, I just recorded a video of myself and I didn't like talk to someone until like I was ready for a final round interview or whatever. So yeah, you have to really think about the candidate's perspective and still treat people like a human versus like, oh, this is just, let's automate the whole thing. Let's make it more, just automated and because that's the face of your company. So candidate experience to employer branding, all those things really matter too. And like I said, going back, you could have the best resume, the best profile, and those searchable tools will like screen and give you the best resumes. But then once you talk to someone, wow, it's not even remotely close to kind of your kind of soft skills and your communication. All those things still matter too. So I'd say for recruiters, we still have a bright future in tech too.
And finally, Jonathan, what advice would you give someone who is starting out in the recruitment space, especially technical, given all the factors that you just talked about, the challenges that you're seeing, those excellent, shiny resumes coming your way? I mean, what sort of traits does a recruiter need to have to be able to start in an environment like this?
Well, number one, it's all about grit. So perseverance, being able to fail forward, as I say, fail fast too. So if you do something, you learn from it, and what would you have done differently? Approach as a technical recruiter too. So I would say the more you can kind of dive into the process and even talking to your hiring managers, talking to people, mentors, other recruiters on your team, listening into interviews, participating in final round interviews too as well. So listening in, understanding kind of what were people, missing, through the whole process. So you can better understand kind of the role and what your team is looking for too as well. So I'd say it's all about failure in a sense. The first couple of years of just kind of understanding, okay, you probably have no idea kind of what you're doing. This is a new role. But the more you can learn about something and learn from your team and your colleagues, the better you'll be able to ramp up quickly too. And you could use AI too. You could ask it questions, prompts related to screening questions or like, hey, should I target for candidate profiles and such? But I would say if you have the grit and you're able to push through and learn and grow and stay challenged, you'll do great too at the same time.
Well, thank you very much, Jonathan, for your time, insights, and also for joining us for the second time. It's been 3 years, by the way.
Oh my goodness, the time flies.
So for whoever's listening in, where can they connect with you? Do you have a blog or? Obviously, it's LinkedIn for you.
LinkedIn, you could reach out to me on LinkedIn, or I've got a blog, wizardsourcer.com too. You could take a look at that, and I've got books on Amazon.com too.
Well, thanks again, Jonathan, and we have been in conversation with Jonathan Kidder of Amazon. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more weekly episodes from All in Recruitment on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.